equivalent as the 10 to the power 9 programming cycle. So if you look at the retention here, for 100 seconds, the device can sustain the temperature 210 degrees C. That means this adjacent cell, the maximum temperature can only be like 210 degrees C. If it's above that, then after this 10 to the power 9 cycle, then this adjacent cell's state will change, right? Because this cell, as I said, can be like 400 to 500 C, right? Due to the melting. The adjacent cell may be lower temperature, but you cannot have a temperature larger than this 210 degrees C for the neighboring cell. Otherwise, after 10 to the power 9 cycles, programming of this cell, the other cell here will have the error. So you can tell that this thermal disturb problem will be more serious with the scaling, right? Because with the scaling, then those two cells become closer, then the thermal disturb, or let's say the spread of the heat, is easier. So then you will have more and more this kind of problem. This is very unique in the phase change memory because the temperature is so high. And then the endurance, the cycling endurance. So if you keep set and reset the device, and then eventually after, for example here, 10 to the power 10 cycle, then the device will stuck at the, in this case, high resistance state. So basically it's stuck at this reset state. So this is probably due to the separation of the material from the electrode. Because every time you do this cycling, it's a thermal process. So you have the thermal expansion. So if it accumulates over cycles, then eventually you may have some separation between your GST material with the electrode. So this is due to the thermal expansion over cycles. But more often, the device will stuck at the low resistance state. So this is after cycling. So you can keep a cycle till like 10 to the power 9 cycles. Then it's stuck at the low resistance state. This is due to the intermix of the GST with the electrode material. And typically phase change memory at a single cell level, like 10 to the power 9 cycle, is very typical. But this is at a single cell level, but at array level, so probably like 10 to the power 6. And then phase change memory array and chip demonstrations. So the first kind of array is 1T1R, we discussed. 1T1R is like this. So you have one transistor, one phase change memory. So this is a cross-sectional view. So you have a transistor here. This is a transistor. And then contact here. And then you have the mushroom cell. This is a contact. And you have the GST here. So this is a mushroom cell. And here, because of the high current we discussed, like hundreds of microamp, so the transistor, this 1T, needs to be larger W over L. And this will make the cell size larger. For example, 18 to 40 F square. I would say more close to the 40 F square because of the current. So alternatively here, that T can be BJT, okay? Because one transistor actually we have a CMOS transistor, but also we have the bipolar junction transistor, which is not very often used today. But in principle, you can use BJT as a selection and transistor. So it's very similar as a MOSFET, but with a PNP kind of junction. So the advantage of the BJT is that the BJT deliver higher current than the CMOS MOSFET transistor at the same area, same size. So BJT has higher current, and then this is suitable for the phase change memory because phase change memory need high current, right? So the BJT is good in this sense. But the problem is that because you can deliver higher current, so the cell size for the BJT can be lowered, like 6 to 8 f square. But the challenge is that today not many foundry offer the BJT process at the advanced nodes, right? BJT is typically old foundry at like 130 nanometer by CMOS process. So IBM used to offer that. But at the advanced nodes below 65 nanometer, there's almost no BJT process available. So this is 1T1R. And then we, of course, have the corresponding array and with the selector. And here, this is the paper from Samsung. And so with the PN junction as a diode, because for phase change memory you can use PN junction because it's a unipolar, right? It's unipolar. We just need to have the same polarity of the current, but tune the current amplitude and the pulse width to program, let's say, to set and reset. So the single directional diode, silicon diode, is okay. So you can get 4f square. Here is demonstration from the Samsung. And in 20 nanometer technology node, it uses a PN junction as the selector. So this is the history of the phase change memory development. I think the research started in early 2000, and then in like 2010, there are actually some initial prototype or even close to product available. At that time, I think the major players are the Samsung and Micron. And Micron actually acquired a startup company called Mnemonics, and then they developed the phase change memory from there. And at 2012, Samsung achieved like 8 gigabit chip here at 20 nanometer. So this is like a milestone for the phase change memory. This is based on this corresponding array with the PN junction as a diode. But if you use PN junction as a selector, so you can only do one layer because this PN junction needs to be at the substrate, single crystalline silicon PN diode. So at that time, Samsung actually had a product with a phase change memory, and I remember there was a news saying that Samsung used some phase change memory in one of the Samsung smartphone at that time, but it didn't make too much progress after that. So I think after that, Samsung almost gave up the phase change memory development. But before that, let's look at this design. So this is that 20 nanometer, 8 gigabit phase change memory cell design by Samsung at 2012. And you can read the details of the chip specs. I will skip that. But I want to say that after this 2012, Samsung almost gave up. And then later, we know the story, right? So in 2015, Intel and Micron announced this 3DX point, and we're based on the phase change memory. So the key enabler for the 3DX point is not the phase change memory itself, because the phase change memory itself has been there for quite some time, right? Samsung already have 8 gigabit chip at that moment. So the key enabler is the selector. And the Intel and Micron can enable the two-layer structure, use the selector. So I think that was a breakthrough because the Samsung here, they can only do one layer with a PN diode as a selector. So after that, I think Samsung recently invest in the selector research again and try to catch up the Intel and Micron with similar stuff like this. Okay, so this is the summary. For phase change, actually is the most mature technology among the emerging non-volatile memory. It's already manufacturable in some of the companies. And the key challenge is still is the power consumption is so high due to the melting nature of the switching mechanism. Right? We need this current to generate the heat. At 20 nanometer load, it's still like 100 micron. And multi-level cells are possible by the read and verify. And the reliability issues need some attention, especially the thermal crosstalk is a problem. And the gigabit level have already been demonstrated, and then phase change memory is a foundation for the Intel and Micron 3D export. But the key enabler is not the phase change, it's the selector. Okay, so I think that's all for today.